Hey everyone, how's it going today? Welcome back to another second stimulus check and second stimulus package unemployment benefits extension update. So in today's update, I want to basically give you guys a brand new update about what's going on in the world of stimulus, because the current story right now is that basically Joe Biden has started to semi-step in. He can only do so much right now because of course he's not like the president yet, and of course there is still a contesting situation with like Trump and all, but the story right now is that he is starting to take a little bit of action actually. Basically all we know right now at this current time is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris has basically already put together their own like small mini pandemic task force, which is basically used to kind of combat and help with all of like the pandemic, everything related to the pandemic. So like testing, solving, treatments, supplies, the medical industry, everything around that. But one thing that has happened is that he actually also did recently write down his own stimulus plan, which is what we're going to be talking about in today's video, so definitely watch all the way through for that. We still are working, it's very like, it's kind of like a small basis that we're really working in right now, because again it is relatively brand new, but it's definitely pretty interesting to know about it, and it is great news because it does mean that they once again are having news that are starting to roll out, and a lot of different things that are, you know, currently happening, lots of action. So hopefully this does end up speeding up the process, especially with the distractions somewhat now overlooked as we move forward. But before we begin, make sure you smash the like button if you can, because it always does help to support this channel. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification button for future updates, and feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about anything at all. I try to respond to most comments, but sometimes for whatever reason I think the notifications is a little bit weird. I think sometimes I get notifications for some comments, sometimes I don't, but I try to respond to every single one. If I do overlook something, feel free to maybe just comment it again, or even if it's like in the next video or something. Or if anything, I do always try to run through comments at the very end of the week, where I basically just try to scroll through everything to kind of make sure I catch everything. So I should respond eventually. It just kind of depends on how busy I am that particular day. So with that being said, let's get this video started. And I do also want to say, if you guys have been here for a little bit, thank you guys so much for the support, because we are still new and kind of figuring things out, so I really do greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much to every single one of you guys. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So the story is that Joe Biden has basically briefly kind of drafted out his own kind of stimulus plan that he's hoping to try to implement. Of course, right now he's not the full, you know, president right now at this time period. We'll have to wait till January to see, of course, especially with the Trump contesting situation. So it's still kind of to be determined. But in Joe Biden's stimulus plan basically is that he's hoping to do a stimulus check as needed. So he hasn't specified the amount, but the likelihood is it's probably going to be $1,200. That's why I say it's kind of like it's really a base to kind of work with right now. There is unemployment, so that is the really great news, and it is also going to be at $600 per week. The end date, it's going to likely be retroactive, but the end date has not actually been specified yet. I think it is a little bit up in the air, only because if he did, you know, enter into the White House, it's probably not going to happen until January, so that's probably the big reason why. But there is unemployment. One thing though that is really nice is that they do also include SSI payments, and I believe it's going to be at $200 per month. If you are a student, they are also doing something where they're hoping to try to forgive student loans to kind of just, you know, increase economic mobility by, I believe it's like at minimum $10,000. Once again, it's a little bit of a vague, but they put down the threshold of about $10,000 of student loans forgiven. And then the rest is really just a combination of just specific amounts of funding for small businesses and then different kinds of programs. He hasn't, you know, gave out the full absolute details about it, but it's basically to just help all sorts of different industries. So kind of like if you work in airlines, you know, airlines, small businesses, if you're self-employed, anything like that. And then the rest of it is really about the pandemic testing related stuff. So like trying to offer free testing, trying to increase supplies, medical supplies, everything basically related to kind of helping to kind of cure the pandemic. One thing though that I think that is actually relatively brand new is that he is actually interestingly trying to do something to offer paid sick leave, which I think is one of the more unique things, where basically he's trying to give, it's like what you would think like paid sick leave, but he's basically trying to extend it so you can potentially get it even if you are part-time employed or self-employed or an independent contractor. So I think the really great news is that now that he also has a plan on the table, it also just means that they are making a lot of progress. Now, to give my personal opinion about whether or not I think this is going to pass or not, my personal opinion is that I actually think that it does have a chance of passing, but it actually depends on one very important thing, and we've kind of talked about it in past videos, so definitely subscribe if you haven't done so already. But it actually really depends on one of the biggest things that's actually going on right now, which is actually the Senate elections. As some of you guys may or may not know, is that right now the Senate stands at 40 and 48. One of the states that's doing a runoff election is going to be Georgia, and they're doing it actually around the beginning of January. This is actually one of the most important elections. I'd even say probably as important as Joe Biden's election or Joe Biden/Trump, the presidential election, because this is really going to determine who is in charge of the Senate. And keep in mind, and this was even during the Obama era, is that almost every single plan so far that was not able to successfully go through, whether this is things that happened during the Obama era to even the stimulus like the HEROES Act, most of the acts altogether, the only reason that they really struggled was because almost every single thing was blocked by Mitch McConnell inside of the Senate. This election in Georgia is going to determine the fate of basically who has the power inside of the Senate, and that's really going to determine what they can do. Because if they are able to basically flip the Senate and turn it into a mostly Democratic Senate, or even just to tie it, actually, even if they manage to tie it, the big thing is that this is going to be the biggest game changer, because it actually means that it's not just with stimulus, but almost every single policy in the, in Joe Biden's like plans and action can actually very much can happen. So in terms of, do I think Joe Biden's stimulus plan can happen? My personal answer is yes, but it really will depend on the Senate elections. So I do also will say that if you are in Georgia, make sure to really come out to vote, because this is basically going to determine a lot of things. And it's basically every single state outside of Georgia, including Georgia too, of course, we're all basically relying on Georgia to hopefully carry through and try to do something to flip the Senate right now. So you can even say that the faith of almost every single person is basically at this point in the hands of basically Georgia. Interestingly enough, also with the elections too, how kind of elections, the faith of the elections was really determined by two states, Pennsylvania and Georgia, and now the Senate elections are as well. The only three other big dates that you really probably have to know for now is really just that on December 11th, 2020, that's basically when the government shutdown is potentially going to happen if they don't pass something to increase funding. The second one is basically the end of this year, which is December 31st, 2020. This is when a lot of the different programs like eviction, unemployment, and so many different things end. And I'll definitely try to make a future video once again about the unemployment, so definitely subscribe if you are brand new here. Remember to smash the like button if you can. And then of course the beginning of January, that is when the Senate runoff elections is going to happen in Georgia. And then the next date is really going to be the presidential inauguration transfer, basically January 20th, when the new people basically take over, depending on how the elections go with the Senate and everything. So that's really what I wanted to share in today's update. Thank you guys so much for watching, and also for the support as always. If you guys are brand new here, consider subscribing. Remember to smash the like button, and feel free to comment any questions or thoughts. I try to get to everything, but if I overlook some, feel free to comment again, and I'll always at least try to overview and just run through everything in case I miss something at the end. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.